Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be, does this approach work for XYZ diagnosis? Alright, I'll get to that in a minute. It's a gorgeous day. It's a little bit warm. It's in the 80s, sunny. But a gorgeous day. Got a 4th of July weekend coming up here in the United States, so a 3-day weekend. But don't worry, you'll see a video here every day. Breathe in the peace, exhale the stress, the noise, the chaos. Breathe in the clarity that you're okay. Exhale the worry. Alright, so inevitably several times a week I'll have people either commenting on Facebook, YouTube, sending me emails, and they pretty much just say, Dan, does this stuff work for this diagnosis? And they'll mention some medical label or diagnosis. You know, the one I got today, which reminded me to do this video, was does this work on small fiber neuropathy? And so my overall take is the medical diagnosis may or may not be a true indicator of what is causing your pain or other symptoms. Let me say that again. A medical diagnosis is not proof of the cause of your symptoms. It's just a label that doctors will give you based on your description of the sensations or symptoms. All right? So we don't figure out if something can be cured through this approach, this mind-body approach, this TMS approach, this consistent messages of safety approach that I talk about. We don't figure out if something can be resolved with this approach that I teach all the time by looking at the medical label that you've been assigned from the doctors that say these symptoms equal that label. That's a label and nothing more. The best way, in my opinion, to approach this is to, number one, rule out anything significant health issues that could be life-threatening or true injuries. Meaning, I don't mean something hurts. That's not necessarily evidence of a true injury. But a fracture, a break, a laceration, right? Rule out the life-threatening stuff, and then we rule in this thing called TMS, or perceived danger pain. And we don't do that with a medical label at all. Because in many cases, people get over all sorts of things that they've been told fall under this medical label. But the fact that they got over it with this TMS approach and these consistent messages of safety allowed those symptoms to go away. It means that the medical label you were given was actually nothing more than a misdiagnosis, or a medical label for the type of symptom you're experiencing that was really never this medical label. It was truly TMS. So for example, I just did a success story with this lovely lady named Gigi from Bermuda. That'll be posting probably within the next several days. But she was told she had interstitial cystitis. And, she says, I was able to cure my interstitial cystitis with this approach. And I had to clarify. I said, no, you didn't. You were able to prove that the interstitial cystitis diagnosis you were given was an incorrect diagnosis. And you were able to resolve the symptoms, the pains, the urgency, the frequency, all that stuff with this TMS mind-body approach. You got rid of TMS bladder symptoms. You did not get rid of interstitial cystitis. I hope that makes sense. So please don't hang on to a diagnosis. I know it seems really important. The doctor told me that. They've got the fancy degree on the wall and the white lab coat. If the doctor says this is what I've got, that's clearly the cause of my symptoms or pain, right? No, not always. And in many cases, chronic pain, chronic symptoms, the medical labels that the doctors give you shows up on the insurance code so you know how to bill your insurance company. It's not necessarily any proof of the validity of that medical label. It's not proof that that thing they're calling, your symptoms is the true, real cause of the pain. Now remember, Dr. Sarno used this term decades ago, normal abnormalities. So what? You've got a bulging or herniated disc. So what? At my age, 60 some odd percentage of the people in the population without pain have bulging and herniated discs. A medical label and even a result on an imaging study is not evidence of the cause of the symptoms or the pain. As I say a lot, pain is not a reliable indicator of the condition of the body, nor is a medical label a reliable indicator of the condition of your body. The best way to go, rule out the life-threatening, serious, catastrophic stuff. And then we rule in TMS or mind-body pain or perceived danger pain with the various assessments that will tell us if our symptoms are behaving like a structural problem or an illness, or if they're behaving like TMS or perceived danger pain or symptoms. How your symptoms behave is a really good way of ruling out structural. So there's a couple of assessments that I've got on my Getting Started page. Go to painfreeu.com/start. And on that page, there's two assessments. One's a pain test. The other one is a FIT assessment that Dr. Schubner created and has published. F for functional, I for intermittent, T for triggered. And there's a bunch of questions. And if you answer just one of them positively, then your brain is creating the symptoms or the pains and not some structural abnormality or problem. So do those assessments. But, the question, does this approach work for a medical label like small fiber neuropathy or interstitial cystitis? The answer to that question usually is, it's not going to fix interstitial cystitis or small fiber neuropathy. But it's possible that with the proper assessment, you can determine that that label, the medical diagnosis, is incorrect, and therefore you are curable. I know it's splitting hairs here on these details, but it's really important. Letting go of the medical labels. Once you've ruled in TMS and perceived danger pain, you got to let go of the medical labels. If you walk around saying, my fibromyalgia is really flaring today, but yet all indication is that it's really TMS all along, stop using the term fibromyalgia. It's not benefiting you. It's just keeping your brain stuck on this thing that, if you look on Google, what is fibromyalgia? It'll tell you it's a whole set of symptoms of unknown origin. We don't know what causes it, and there is no cure. Great. Thanks, Dr. Google. Appreciate the help. Separate yourself from the medical diagnosis. You've got a bunch of symptoms. Sometimes they have labels medically, but rule out life-threatening stuff. And if you've already done that, which you probably have, if you've been to the doctors, they're usually very good at isolating and identifying life-threatening bad stuff. So if you've done that, the middle stuff doesn't matter. Rule in TMS or perceived danger pain through the assessments that I just told you about. And if it shows TMS, it's TMS. And that means, yes, you can get well. And if you follow the process which I lay out, it's not just possible for you to recover. It becomes probable that you will. You will. So keep an eye out. I do have a couple of success stories coming out over the next probably several business days. So keep an eye out for them. And hope you have a great weekend if you're in the U.S. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Anywhere else in the globe, hope you have a great weekend anyway. So, love you guys and gals, and I will see you tomorrow.